Good morning and happy Sunday, happy weekend. Last week we do a little bit of our meditation on the sweet dews or the healing water. I like to do it in English maybe next week. So this week I give you some teaching. I just did in Vietnamese full, not quite full, but very deep meditation on how we could visualize it. But I like to give you a teaching now, so next week we can do a full scale of it. In Buddhism, healing is very important, and self-healing is very, very critical in our practice. The first principle of self-healing is the ability to look back inside. You close your eyes and just think about the body. You see it's so dark. You don't see anything much. So the way that we have been doing, and is not just today, it has been hundreds of years that the teachers always taught how we look inside, how we see all the organs and be in touch with the organs and really know the feeling of each organ. That is quite amazing, thinking about how much anatomy people have learned in the past. And I'm quite sure that there's the learned people, they pretty much have to understand. At that time, in the past, they have to somehow understand a lot about the body, and not only the body, but many other things with the body. We just don't know, we don't have enough information how that works, but we knew that there are books that have the anatomy of, and then funny kind of anatomy, because it's not exactly like we know now today, but at least they know that there's liver on the right side, there's spleen and the pancreas on the left side, and that is the guts and intestinal tract and the colon and heart. Where is it? Yeah, basic. And so what we want to do is, the very first thing is to be in touch with our organs. And that is the first side of healing. Because sometimes we lacking awareness, especially some very subtle movement, subtle feeling of the organs. We can only know when the head is so headache, but exactly where it's originated from, in what part of the head, maybe we're not very keen about where. Our attention sometimes is not that keen. And so the feeling in the organs, sometimes we don't feel anything until it becomes so painful. And so the first thing in the healing process is to looking back. And the way that we're doing this is very skillful. And we're talking about the healing water. And that is sa, the syllable sa. Okay? So here. So what we should do is this is the first step, the very first step. The first steps. That we need to sit like this here. And we play the syllable sa here. We place it on top of our head. And not too just like that. Okay, not too big, maybe like that. There we go. So you just place on top of our head, and we think about the water from sa is moving into the body of the organ. Okay, do all the hands and feet, here. I can make you to have the hand here, yes. Now, wonderful. And the legs and so on. So that's the very first thing. The first step is have the water going through your body. So visualize visualize the water from Sa go through, flow through the body. And to say flow through the body is not as precise as flow through all the organs. Okay, so that's at the first order, that's the first step. So you want to have it all going through, but then that is already a very good penetration into our body and our mind and our cells. That's where the healing process taking place. Healing process taking place because we care about ourselves, we look back into ourselves. And you realize that every single organs, right, they also had emotional connection with it, spiritual connection with it. For example, the heart is the place where you truly have the heart, to have the love and compassion come from the heart. And then the liver is a place where it connects with the feeling of anger, the feeling of righteousness, and the lungs always connect with the feeling of giving, of spaciousness, but also the feeling of being selfish, being self-centered. And the generosity go with that feeling of being generous. So each organ have certain kind of feelings. Now, without talking about all this detail of the feelings, but you need the water going through them as if you be in touch with all the feelings and all the spiritual qualities that the organs hold. And the water is the compassion. So the compassion going through every single organs in our body. Spiritually, the image of the water going through the organs already is so significant. By doing that, you actually healing a little bit of yourself already, or maybe healing completely if your mind is so strong. So it's very powerful to think about, okay, I let the water go through every organ. You are in touch with yourself deeply. Now, at first, maybe we don't see much about the inside because we're not used to it. We close our eyes and we think about all kind of things. But slowly, with practice, we start to be in touch with, and you can actually, when you think about the liver, the water get to the liver, you actually feel it. When the water goes to the heart, you actually feel the heart response to that kind of visualization. It's very wonderful. And so we want to get the water going through the body, but then the question is, okay, then the water, where does the water go? Of course, the water goes to the deepest part because gravity pulls it down. So we need to make use of that water. What do we make use of it? So you need to put a seed, and that seed is a lotus seed. So now we come to the second step, immediately second step. And that second step is, the second step is to flow the water to the seeds of 4 lotuses. So you are sitting like this here. I'm sorry. And you want the water to go flow down here somewhere. So you need to place the lotus seeds. So for example, we put the lotus seeds guy right here, and the water now go to nurture that seed guy. That's the idea. All the water converge and nurture that seed. Now, when we do the actual practice, and I will guide you how you visualize it, but here, the principle, try to see the principle. Now, you look back into the whole process. So what the meaning? Right there, you see the meaning so wonderful. And that The healing waters actually go through all the organs. You have become aware of yourself. Excuse me. And after you become very much aware of yourself, you make use of the waters now. Nurture the seed of the body of the enlightenment. Healing, enlightenment seem to go together. We cannot expect to be enlightened if we don't heal ourselves. So the world of healing ourselves is a world that's very interesting. It's a world of looking in, going down and deep, and then nurture the light. So the seed of light is down in the ground. Okay, so here, let me write down. It is a seed of light. And that also the seeds of enlightenment. It's down there in the dark, and this seed here is in the darkness. Right? But if you take a look at when you penetrate into all the organs there, you are also, all the organs are also in the dark. So the process of get the water going through and going deep and nurture the seed of light, that practice alone is so profound. Thinking a moment about that, how many of us, we do that every day? No, we don't. And yet we take shower every day. Every day we take shower and the water go outside on the skin. But the water never penetrates through the organs and clean up the organs. So the first thing that you do that. It's first step, second step. And this comprised to be the initial, we call cleansing. So this is what we call the initial cleansing. Both the first step and the second step. The first plus the second, there's initial cleansing. And you can say initial healing if you like to, but the first step and second step, they comprise that. They make up to this initial cleansing, and you can just sit and doing it quite a bit. Now, you come to the third step. The third step is exactly the first or second, but instead of just have the water going through, now you recite the mantra. You recite Sulu Sulu Om Sulu Sulu. You can see the mantra on the screen. Sulu Sulu Om Sulu Sulu Bala Sulu Bala Sulu 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 Ye Sopoho. You can have this syllable and the mantra there. So the third step. You're cleansing with the mantra. So that's more elaborate. Okay, now let's go back to the mantra for a little bit so I can help you with the recitation. And the recitation is Sulu Sulu, Om Sulu Sulu, Bala Sulu, Bala Sulu, Sulu Sulu, Ye Sopoho. So you recite in the rhythm, Sulu Sulu, Om Sulu Sulu, Bala Sulu, Bala Sulu, Sulu Sulu, Ye Sopoho. So that's how you recite. Sulu Sulu Om Sulu Sulu Bala Sulu Bala Sulu 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 Ye Sopoho. And this you see the sa and the mantra, you need to make it into a flow. And therefore, when you recite in your mind, Sulu Sulu Om Sulu Sulu Bala Sulu Bala Sulu 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 Ye, so you recite non-stop. As you recite, you need to master the recitation of that water with the cleansing, with the organ is going through the organs. So instead of water, but now the stream of the mantra go through all the organs, and then they're coming out of the body, and they go into the seat ga. So it's very wonderful if you can hold that flow and make the flow, that make the cleansing become complete. And so we have this third step here. Third step. You recite the mantra continuously. It's meaning the mantra become the flow. Okay, good. So that is the third step, and you want the third step to be so wonderful, because the third step is actually the step that we want to continuously cultivate for a long time. So that's the third step, and that's going to be the flow of the mantra, and it go through the organs. So you ask me, okay, what are the organs? What are the organs? So you have the brain with the skull, the brain, and you have the eyes, the ears here, your nose, tongue. That's the organs, right? You're going down the throat, and the bronchi and the lungs and the heart, and then you go down to the diaphragm, and you in the back, and then you have it, the kidneys, and then you go down to the bladder, and of course you have the liver, you have this gallbladder, you have the spleen and your pancreas, and you have the intestinal tract and the colon, and of course you have reproductive organs. So all of them, you're going through all of them, and make sure you're going all of them. Don't miss anyone, miss any of this organ. How many organs you have, you want to go through all the organs. So the first cleansing is like that. Now let's go to the next steps, which I call the next cleansing. So each had the 3 steps. So the next one, it goes like this on the next one. So you have this initial cleansing, and then you have the second cleansing. On the second cleansing, the first step, that you don't cleanse the organ anymore, but you start to cleanse the muscles, the fascia. But in the muscle, there is the nerve itself, the nerves, all the nerves is in the muscle. And then the muscle go with the fascia and go with the bones. So the first, second step, the water flow to cleanse the muscle, the fascia, the bones, and all of these, the nerve, and we say nervous system. So we may say muscle or muscular system, same. So these are the second step, it's going through all of them, and so you need to visualize as if here, you sit like this here, and here's your hands here, and your legs here, if you sit like that, right? And you will have the same kind of sa here, same sa, and you play the sa on top of your head. You don't need it too big, let's about smaller, okay? But I'm drawing it a little small like that, and you need to go through everywhere, going to the hands, and going through the bone, the spinal, this is the brain, and then they go into the leg, and finally it going down, okay? It go into the hands and fingers, and it gets exit from the fingers, tips, and exit from your toes, and it exit from wherever you sit, it's going straight down for the knees and like that. So that is the second cleansing. And you can guess the second steps. So the first step, in the first, you visualize it flow through the organ. And the second step, you get it to the seat of the four lotus. Here the same. The second step, you flow to the sixth syllable ga. Okay? And the third step. Then the mantra is the flow. So that is the second cleansing. And it's a practice that next week we can really put our time into doing it. And so you can just follow and you can see how wonderful it is. But I'd like you to study this first. Now we have the third cleansing. Let's go on the third cleansing. The third cleansing, probably the most powerful one, before we have the fourth one. What is the third cleansing? The third cleansing is you bring the water into the body, but everywhere the water goes, that part become empty. Only the skin was left behind. So you make the whole thing inside completely empty and hollow. The body become transparent. You can see through the body. It's only the skin. And you need to get to the point when you feel the body as so light. And at some point in the future, when you practice enough, you can see the body become so transparent as well. So that's the direction of visualization. It's very powerful. So remember that we are healing ourselves, healing until as if all the karmic force now slowly dissolve, and the vision that obstruct you to know who you are, now you completely unveil. And so you see to yourself, to your ego, to what your makeup is. And you start to see the emptiness of the inside. So that's the healing process. It's deep and profound in that way. Because as long as we still have an ego, we still want to have this, to have that, and we always build up our egocentrism, then there's nothing we can do to make inside empty. When inside empty, that as if we recognize the uselessness of egocentrism. We see through our egocentrism. We see through our selfishness. We see through the beings always want to have more and more and more. Always wanting, always desire for something. So the see-through is very important. And that is a level that is, we call the healing is nearly complete. But that healing is profound enough to make you feel that regardless of any kind of sickness, I am actually cleansing my karma. I can see through myself. I knew myself better. As you do this, you see that the amount of fear, anxiety reduce tremendously. Because you seem to have a tool to face your fear and your anxiety better. A tool that you can look at it and you realize that it's empty by nature. Now that's another lecture when we expand the principle how you see the inside empty and you can see everything come to you also as empty. But we have that for another lecture. But at first you understand that the direction we go. We cleanse our organs first, and then we cleanse the muscular system, the nervous system second, and then we empty everything inside, leaving only the skin behind. Wonderful, isn't it? Because you start to see through you, and you don't get stuck with the eye anymore, because you can see through that eye. You understand it. You understand your intention, your motivation, your desire, your deep, deep, deep desire, selfishly, the core of egocentrism, now you see through it. So that is very, very healing by itself. Now I'd like you to go to the third skilling. So let me write out this. So here we have the body here, and we still have this sa on top here, and the water go, wherever the water go, this part here become completely empty. So this become empty. Become empty, and the body becomes transparent. And that is the most wonderful thing, the body becomes transparent. And you start to see through in real life, start to see through our egocentrism, our dualism. Dualism meaning I'm right, you wrong, and our deep intention, motivation, and lastly, our darkness. Okay, that's in real life. So in practice, become empty. So that's the correlation. This is 1, and this is 2. Now I will get you to study on this and practice on this next time. So the first step, wherever the water flow through, that part become empty. Now we need to have the second step, and the second step is all this water will get to nurture the seed of lights. And here we have the syllable ga down here. So all of this water will go to the seed of light. The water flow to nurture the seed of light. And that means God. So we will work on this as next week, and then the third step. We make the whole thing, the water, the mantra is a flow. Okay, so that's the third step. So we had the 3 cleansings, and each had 3 steps, and it helps you now to really, really, not only you heal yourself, but you are nurturing the seeds of life, the lotus seed. And if you practice this by mid-May or June, then we hook up with the practice of 4 lotuses. And the 4 lotuses now get to be the 1,000-petal lotus. And we prepare the whole thing for the mandala. So this is a long coursework, and it's very detailed work. And I will work with you every week to make sure that you really get to where you should get to. Especially the cleansing is very soothing. If you practice it and you realize that how wonderful you can become, how wonderful you know yourself, because nobody knows yourself as you know yourself. And the degree of your penetration, meaning the degree of clarity when you visualize organs, that degree itself is a healing practice. So stay with me, and we come back next week and do this again. If you want to facilitate the learning, you can learn with your friends who many of our instructors actually know this process and know how to do it. You can contact them, talk to them, and ask them to teach you. But always know the process is very logical, but it needs you to have faith in the practice, and faith you believe that the whole thing is about growing your Bodhi-mind, the mind toward enlightenment. And the whole process is very gentle. You cannot push, you can make any lotus to grow according to your own wish. You need to nurture it. And the water nurture the seed. The seed will grow at its own term, and it will bloom at the right time. All we have to do is to nurture. And that's pretty much the teaching in Buddhism. Sometimes we can't solve a problem. We have to nurture a solution, but we can't solve the problem. Sometimes the problem explodes into the huge kind of consequence that we cannot fix it. It's too difficult to fix it when it gets to the fruition. But we need to build and grow the seed as a solution now. So one day that seed will itself will grow into a solution that solves the problem there. And therefore the path is always the path of gentleness and kindness, and it's always the path that always directs us towards our self-healing and healing others. We never should claim that we can heal others if we don't do any of self-healing. We need to be honest enough to recognize that the path begins here, not out there. And anything that you see happening around you, always one way or the other, always connected how we deal with us ourselves. So I hope that you enjoy the teaching and stay with us and practice along with us. And we continue next week. At least enjoy the weekend, and always transfer your merit and virtue. Always transfer the lives to the people who are suffer, especially people who suffer from war, from hunger, from deprivation, all kind of good feelings and positive feelings, and deprived of their life and their energy itself. So always be kind to everyone, and always sending that energy to people around us. Always remember that we cannot solve a problem, but we can always sow the seeds of goodness that become a solution for that problem. And always be patient. Thank you very much, and I see you next week.